Bulldogs are transitioning from fall camp mode to game prep on Monday. But before they focused on the Tigers, they held their annual Fan Day scrimmage under the lights at Lewis Cruz Stadium. We caught up with Coach Maynor before the pads started popping. Let's hear from him now.
It's great. This is what it's all about. You know, everything we do is for the young men, it's for the fans, for the alumni. So this is just a great day to be a Bulldog, great day for Bulldog football and all other sports too, because we're going to introduce all the athletes to all the fans.
See how the game went. We got to start with Normal's goodest boy, Butch Henry. So great to see him tonight, but not so great today if you're hoping to see consistent, potent offensive performances early on. Second play from scrimmage, Cornelius Quad Brown is intercepted by Jordan Milton. That got the defense fired up. This game was split up between the O and white and the D and maroon. So the offense gets the ball back right away, and this time they move it. Brown slings to Duke Miller, who picks up the first down yardage and then some. And that connection would actually be effective on this drive. Here those two go again. Brown to Miller for more chunk yardage. But when push came to shove, the defense stepped up at the goal line and forced a field goal. Christian Silverstein doinks the upright, but it still goes in. Now Avion Miller, Xavier Langford, and Jamar Graham all saw action early on under center. Before the scrimmage, Coach Connell Maynor said the QB battle is still going on, and they hope to make a decision at that position next week. And the next time we see Alabama A&M play for real, the Bulldogs will open this season 2 weeks from today versus Auburn, like we talked about a little bit earlier. Kickoff for that game set for 6:30.
Ladies and gentlemen, college football is officially back. And, you know, we already have the upset with Georgia Tech beating Florida State in Dublin. Georgia Tech beating a top 10 team. Cross seas adding a little flame to the fire for week one. As college football is back and on the plains of Auburn, the battle cry is War Eagle. Auburn takes on Alabama A&M for week one. Jordan-Hare Stadium under the lights. It's going to be a night game. Definitely a great opportunity for both football teams to display all the hard work in the offseason. And when we look at Alabama A&M, with a huge tradition in historically black college football, in the Southern Intercollegiate Conference, when they were in Division II, and then transitioning to the SWAC years later. Alabama A&M had 14 conference titles in the SIAC conference and 2 in the SWAC in 2006 and 2020. Most notably, if you look at the SWAC conference of college football, you have Eddie Robinson, who is up there with the Bear Bryants and the Nick Sabans of the world as probably one of the best college football coaches in history. And most recently, to bring light to the SWAC conference, is Coach Prime from Colorado, who epically was hired as Colorado's football coach from Jackson State. That's something that is unprecedented, something that has never happened, but just shows the greatness of this particular conference. And, you know, you look at some of the rivalries for Alabama A&M. Alabama State, who Auburn has played recently, they meet up annually in the Magic City Classic in Birmingham. They've been doing that since 1924. And also an in-state rival for Alabama A&M is Tuskegee University. Tuskegee, who is among the most winning team in historically black college football, and Alabama A&M has been able to produce some notable guys, John Stallworth and Robert Mathis, who I think played at Indiana for the Indianapolis Colts. Alabama A&M, from its upholding of historically black college traditions, not only athletically, they got a really good band. Hopefully you all will get to see them at the halftime show at Auburn. Now, to note, from a football standpoint, Alabama A&M really hopes to get back on track. They haven't been that same team that they've been traditionally, having a couple of losing seasons, similar to Auburn, and hope to get back on track. But the unfortunate part of this is I don't think Jordan-Hare will be the place for them to do it. Auburn, Hugh Freeze, has done an incredible job of recruiting with the 2023 recruiting class. And a lot of those guys will contribute. And you look at the wide receiver overhaul at Auburn. You look at the fact that Auburn has done a great job in the running back room. They're doing good there. And with the overhaul of coaches, actually, I think Hugh Freeze is actually a little bit more comfortable with his coaching staff coming into this particular football game. Now, we're not going to do a prediction show tonight, but I just want to do a preview of what Auburn is up against when you talk about Alabama A&M. Alabama A&M is still experiencing some inconsistency on the offensive side of the football field that is carried over from the year prior. And, you know, if Auburn is going to be successful, I think a very intentional approach to this Alabama A&M game, executing on a high level and executing those plays that, you know, will transfer over to being successful against teams that are caliber that will lead them to their direction in 2024. Now, you don't need an Alabama A&M game that is a 62-0 win with a bunch of with a bunch of scooping scores. You need a strategic game to where the running game is intact. I think Jerquez Hunter really wants to get off to a good start to catapult himself as to one of the most recent 1,000-yard runners for Auburn. You know, considering the fact that Auburn hasn't had that in a while. And, man, you onboard Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman is one of the top guys in college football. He's already been heralded as one of the best freshmen in college football. And to see him get off to a good start will be great for the Auburn Tigers. Now, one of the three keys that you want to look at. One, Auburn's got to avoid injury. I think Alabama A&M will come with a solid game plan and with a solid attempt to make themselves known in their particular realm of football. But Auburn has to make sure that there are no injuries in this particular football game. I think Auburn has the opportunity to extend fall camp in this game, considering the fact that you still have a lot of young guys that weren't able to participate in the spring and was onboarded in the fall and the summer camps. And I think Auburn has the opportunity to do that. I think Auburn has the opportunity to also get some reps with their second string quarterbacks, especially Hank Brown. I think Hank Brown will play a huge role in this particular football game in showing that he's a solid number 2 for the Tigers, especially as the Tigers take on this game and ease into the California game, which is very pivotal because California is still a Power 5 football team and is a Power 5 football team that will be looking for redemption from last year's win for Auburn out in California. So I just don't think, with all that Alabama A&M is attempting to do as a FCS school and trying to right their place in FCS football and SWAC football, Jordan Hare is not going to be the place. We got the prediction show coming up this coming Wednesday, where we talk about Auburn versus Alabama A&M. This is a team that Auburn, I mean, they played them a couple of times. And this is a great thing for the state of Alabama. You're going to have some great tailgating going on. You're going to have some great fanfare, especially with this particular game being a night game on the plains. And the atmosphere is going to be absolutely incredible, especially as Hugh Freeze in year 2 attempts to right the situation at Auburn. Auburn has been 6-7, 5-7, 6-7 in the last 3 years. And this will be a start. A 1-0 start. We'll give the specific score on Thursday when we talk about Alabama A&M. And you already have some upsets. You got New Mexico actually losing to Montana State. You have Florida State losing to Georgia Tech. Auburn, I'm not going to say absolutely has to be careful in this game, but they're going to have to be careful down the stretch because there's a lot of teams that we don't know about that might be a little bit better than we suspect they will be. I think Auburn, without injury, needs to get Jarquez Hunter off to a good start. I think you have to get a situation to where Peyton Thorne is very comfortable with his new receivers, testing some things out, testing some personnels, and, really getting his comfort level set to where this stretch between Alabama A&M and Georgia, excuse me, will be very comfortable for him because he has to be on point, or else, the Auburn football staff might have to, I'm not going to say have to go with some other options, but I really hope that Peyton Thorne takes advantage of the opportunity between the Alabama A&M game and the Georgia game, considering that for the first time, this is a very manageable schedule for the Tigers. I think Oklahoma will be that wild card. We will see how well Hugh Freeze has developed this roster to lead up to that game to transfer over into Georgia and Missouri. We'll see. This is my initial preview of Alabama A&M and Auburn. 2 schools from the state of Alabama. A lot of the guys listening on this channel, including myself, my freshman year, I attended Alabama A&M University. And you wouldn't believe it, every single one of my classes transferred to Auburn as if I had gone to Auburn my freshman year. These are 2 land-grant institutions in the state of Alabama. Proud state of Alabama. We will see these guys on watch this coming Saturday. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. Down deep south, college football is king, and on the plains of Auburn, the battle cry is war damn.